The Dargavs, city of the dead, Russia. Out in the middle of nowhere in North Ossetia, Russia, are these ancient crypts, the oldest of which might date back to the 12th century. The village even has its own watchtower, possibly to look over the souls that can't escape. Sedlec, Ossuary, Czech Republic. This church has a chandelier built with nearly one of every bone in the human body. In fact, this church has the bones of some 40,000 to 70,000 skeletons, many of which were shaped by a local woodcarver into pyramids, crosses, even a coat of arms. The Stanley Hotel, Colorado. Sure, it looks inviting enough, nestled at the base of the Rockies. But this hotel that Stephen King based The Shining on is a little more ominous than it looks. Many residents have heard strange bumps in the night, seen ghosts wandering its halls, and even had their belongings rearranged overnight. Helltown, Ohio. Mostly abandoned, other than the Satanists said to worship there, Helltown has crybaby bridges and haunted streets and everything you'd expect, even a street called the End of the World. Catacombs, Paris. Ever taken a walking tour of the Notre Dame Church? Did you know that 20 meters below your feet lay the remains of millions of Parisians, built in the late 18th century when traditional cemeteries posed a disease risk to the public? The long bone-lined tunnels cover some 11,000 square meters. Pripyat, Ukraine. It's home to almost 50,000 people. Its inhabitants were given little time to evacuate and left their belongings and pets behind, thinking they would return. The town is now a strange kind of time capsule, where toys are strewn about in a schoolhouse where they were dropped by evacuating children. There is also a heavy amount of radiation in the area. The Villisca Axe Murder House. The site of one of the state's grisliest, and still unsolved, murders is this innocuous property where an entire family was bludgeoned to death in their beds in 1912. Now you can stay there for a night if you dare. The Yungas Death Road, Bolivia. 3 meters wide, 2,000-foot drops, rain, fog, cyclists, and dust. Oh, and no guardrails. Until 1994, almost 300 visitors were killed here every year. Hotel Cecil, Los Angeles. The Cecil, at the heart of Los Angeles' Skid Row, was the site of a mysterious death in 2013. Night stalker Richard Ramirez called one of its rooms home in the 80s, and an Austrian serial killer stayed there in the early 1990s. Many have committed suicide from its heights. One guy even kidnapped a person on the sidewalk below. It was also the inspiration for American Horror Story, Hotel. Danvers State Hospital, Massachusetts. Danvers was one of the biggest insane asylums in the late 19th century United States. Danvers State Hospital was constructed on a 500-acre plot of land and housed thousands of patients who underwent early experiments with lobotomies and electroshock therapy. The structure was converted into apartments in 2008. The Bell Witch Cave. This place was so haunted, it even scared an American president away. Andrew Jackson had heard of the hauntings in Adams, Tennessee, and after spending a night there once, he vowed never to return. The bell, which supposedly set out to kill landowner John Bell and ruin his daughter's life in the mid-1800s. Moundsville Penitentiary. Moundsville Penitentiary. Poveglia Island, Italy. Poveglia is a small island with a terrifying past. In 1922, a mental hospital was constructed on the island. According to local legend, one doctor was particularly interested in running torturous experiments on his patients. Patients were butchered horrendously before falling or being thrown from a bell tower. Locals believe that at least 160,000 unfortunate souls resided on the island over its 40 or so years as an asylum. Unsurprisingly, the island attracts ghost hunters, fans of the paranormal, and curious tourists. Kenmore Insane Asylum, Australia. This mental asylum was opened in 1895 in Galburn, a town in New South Wales, Australia. Initially, Australians were impressed by the structure, and it housed a relatively low number of patients, allowing them to be well taken care of. However, patients were increasingly being committed for unnecessary reasons. Alcoholism, learning disabilities, and depression were all afflictions that could lead to one's entry to Kenmore. Shock therapy was used casually to treat homosexuality or frequent masturbation. Problematic pathologians were housed in solitary confinement and frequently hosed down. It's not a surprise that finger scratch marks line the doors inside patients' rooms. Kenmore did not completely shut down its operations until the 2000s. Australians believe that the abandoned grounds are haunted. Aokigahara Forest, Japan. Known as the Suicide Forest, Aokigahara is the site of dozens of suicides each year. Volunteers sweep the forest each month looking for bodies and cleaning up the belongings of the dead. The Island of Dolls, Mexico. The island's caretaker, Don Julian Santana Barra, supposedly found a little girl drowned in a canal with her doll floating nearby. He hung the doll in a tree in her honor, became obsessed with the mystery of who she was, and continued to hang dolls in tribute for 50 years until he died in the exact place where she died.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.